Good morning, everybody, and welcome. And thank you very much for inviting me. It's wonderful to be here. I first acknowledge, of course, that we meet on Kaurna land, and we honour the connection of the traditional custodians, both past and present. So, I understand the Honourable Ian Hunter was here earlier this morning, and I acknowledge the Minister, of course. I acknowledge Carolyn Wigg, Deputy Chair of the South Australian Heritage Council, and thank you, Jane, for a wonderful presentation. I'm sorry I didn't hear all of it, but it was very interesting, so thank you very much. And I understand Darren speaking, and this is a terrific get-together, so thank you to UniSA too, ladies and gentlemen. Very special welcome to you. I do like to say that Adelaide is just perfect in so many ways in terms of its positioning around its opportunities around cultural and heritage tourism. We've got fabulously good bones. Steph Johnson only last night presented in front of us with regards to this wonderful opportunity around a World Heritage Bridge for the Mount Lofty Ranges. And that's an incredible opportunity for our city and for our state. But this is such a multifaceted opportunity. There are so many parts to it, which include very much, I think, starting with William Light's vision for our city, which has just left us with an extraordinary enduring legacy, which has just set us up to be the wonderful city that we are. And it's a story that we need to tell globally, and more people need to connect with it to come into Adelaide and South Australia to appreciate everything which I know that you know that we do. So we are in a very good space. We just need to make it a better space. So thank you for asking me, of course, to join you here at Australian Heritage Week and to discuss most in particularly heritage and heritage tourism and what that opportunity means to the City of Adelaide. And I notice we've got some team members here. Naomi Marsh, who of course has headed up a tourism action plan, which I will talk about during this chat. So thank you. Now, we all know, of course, that Adelaide and indeed South Australia is in this state of transition, and we hear this all the time, but what does that mean, and what does that mean in terms of an opportunity? I think tourism has a great deal to do with the repositioning of Adelaide, because we do know, of course, that the service economy is a part of our economy, and the knowledge economy is a part of our economy which is showing growth. And certainly when we look at the City of Adelaide and we look at areas like education, we look at areas like medical, research and development, technology, tourism, these are the areas which are growing. In fact, the knowledge economy has shown 14% growth in the City of Adelaide in terms of employment numbers in the last 3 years alone. So I know the state has its challenges, yes it does, but I also believe the city, because it is the capital city, because it also includes the CBD, has to lead the state through its economic transition. And I think our heritage, our history, our tourism and our cultural engagement has a great deal to do with that leadership, which I will talk to. The state government's got an ambitious and realisable goal to grow tourism to $8 billion per annum by 2020. And that alone will help to transform the competitiveness of the City of Adelaide and of South Australia. I like to say the analogy of the hub and spoke approach, that when you get the hub right, the spokes function very well indeed. And the hub certainly is improving in terms of its level of amenity, giving people more reasons to stay an additional night as a tourist in the City of Adelaide, whether they're coming in for cultural endeavours or heritage endeavours or conferencing or leisure tourism and whatever that might be, because it's very, very multifaceted. But having the offer, so to speak, right for the City of Adelaide is absolutely critical to the sustainability of our regions. It's very, very important. First impressions count, I like to say. I know I say that because I was a retailer for 20 years. First impressions absolutely count. So ensuring that our city is presented in its best light is absolutely critical. Adelaide City Council currently has out in draft form a 2016 to 2020 strategic plan which guides everything we do for the next 4 years. So it's a very important piece of work, and we hope to adopt that prior to 30th of June this year, and then that very much becomes our roadmap. But our vision is Adelaide is a smart, green, livable boutique city full of rich experiences, and Jane spoke about experiences. when it comes to cultural tourism, the tourism experience, the customer experience is absolutely everything. So we're very cognizant of that in our strategic planning to ensure that we're doing everything we can as a capital city council to ensure that people, when they visit our beautiful city, enjoy their experience. And like I shared before, we've got good bones. We are a beautiful city, we're a green city, we're a clean city, and we're a safe city. But we've also, I like to say, we're a city of firsts. Because since, and I think Adelaide City Council in many ways led that, because in 1840 Adelaide City Council was the first municipal government anywhere in Australia. So we have this position of leadership which I think we need to acknowledge, and not just Adelaide City Council, everybody in South Australia, because culturally, socially, legislation, human rights, so many things, as you know, we've led the charge since 1836. And I think we need to tap into that. And we have an incredibly rich Aboriginal culture, which I would say is our bedrock for our state. 30 to 40,000 years of culture preceded many of us. And I like to say that we're the brief interluders. We've been here 5 minutes in the larger scheme of things. So we have this incredible rich culture, which I think underpins much of what we do. Our strategic plan has set out some ambitious targets, including a goal of 18.5 million international and domestic visitor bed nights by 2020, on its way to 25 million bed nights by 2040, which alone would really improve the visitor experience, the evening economy, cultural tourism, people interacting with our heritage in so many ways. It's very important to us. Adelaide's role as a tourist destination is certainly rising, and I think we are being globally recognised as a boutique city. And I think it's great to describe Adelaide as a boutique city. You can be very significant in terms of, we can be very significant in terms of our size. I think our size is actually a competitive strength. I don't think there's any reason that we need to be a large city. We just need to be an innovative city. And there is a body of evidence that suggests that cities around the world between 800,000 people to about 1.5 million are in the sweet spot, because we're small enough to collaborate extremely well together, but we're big enough to have critical mass. So we can reach out to the world, we can put out a very positive message to the world, we can welcome people here from all over the globe, but we can be nimble, we can be agile, and we can jump on opportunities as they arise in front of us. And certainly we are being recognised, as many of you know. Lonely Planet rates us extremely well. The New York Times rates us extremely well, and The Economist rates us extremely well. In fact, we're the 5th most livable city in the world, according to The Economist, which is wonderful, and that means a great deal to tourism. And we have a goal to become the 3rd most livable city in the world by 2018, and that's part of our strategic plan. And our sustainability agenda and our heritage agenda is actually very important to us achieving higher rankings on Global Livability Index. So there is a lot of good, sound methodology behind this. And the further you go up the Global Livability Index, the more tourists are going to come into your city and enjoy everything that we do. Many would have heard, of course, the State Library's Mortlock Wing was also recently listed by the Huffington Post as being one of the world's most beautiful libraries. And that put it amongst magnificent company, because it is a magnificent building. To ensure that we capitalise on our growing tourism reputation, Council also does and has over many years made sustained investments into our heritage assets, both our public assets as well as our privately owned ones. Council has completed some $2.7 million worth of projects to improve our heritage assets in the last 2 years alone. And they include, and many would have seen, the wonderful restoration of the Elder Park Rotunda, the Albert Bridge, Victoria Park Grandstand, and of course the Adelaide Town Hall. And the Adelaide Town Hall is having a birthday this year because it's 150 years old. Last year Adelaide City Council had a big birthday, 175 years old, from 1840. But Town Hall was built in 1866 and now it's celebrating 150. So we have a range of things happening at Town Hall this year to celebrate that. So it's a beautiful building and a great milestone, and a building that we're continually reinvesting back into. We've just repainted the auditorium, we've just resealed the floors in the auditorium. We've been doing a raft of works in that building because it's a public asset which we share with everyone, and it needs to be presented in its best light, I believe, for generations to come. We've got $10 million worth of various heritage-based public realm projects in the pipeline over the next 3 years. Now that's the Lowndes Boat Shed on the River Torrens, the Adelaide Town Hall facade and a restoration of the bell tower. In fact, I believe I'm the first Lord Mayor in Adelaide's history to climb right to the top of the bell tower. I'm not sure if I recommend it, ladies and gentlemen. It's a bit scary. But I did this about a month ago and I didn't realise, I thought I was just going to go up a lift or something. They put me in a harness and ropes and I was terrified. But I climbed right to the top of that bell tower, and I have the photos to prove it. And I signed a little book up there, which has evidently been up there for a long time. And the fellow that took me up there from the Adelaide Bell Ringers Association said, "You, in fact, are the first person to ever do it in terms of a mayor or a Lord Mayor." So I'm not sure if they'd ever do it again. But that was exciting. But we need to restore that, which is great. So now we also have a heritage incentive scheme, which we're very proud of. It's been running for 26 years. Last year we increased the level of funding by 20%. We now have $1 million a year, which we share with our community, residential and commercial buildings, whereby we co-contribute towards restoration projects, typically outward facing, so everybody can enjoy the fruits of that work and the fruits of those funds. And it's very popular. Very popular, and every year we typically oversubscribe, and that's something I always share with the community, that I think it's an incredibly worthy thing. We are the first capital city council to do it, and we may be still one of the only ones who continue to do it. So, and I'm always saying in my council chamber, things like that we must never ever get complacent about, and we must never ever take for granted, because at a whim someone could move to change that and it could go. It's been going 26 years, and when you see those little blue signs around Adelaide saying Heritage Incentive Scheme, that basically means that we've helped co-fund the project. And there are many, and please do spread the word if you know city residents or city commercial building owners who want to make improvements to the at least the facades of their heritage building. We also, of course, have some 2,000 plus listed local heritage and state heritage places and properties throughout the city. I've got a map on my desk. It is incredible how many there are. And I have been working with the state government very recently with regards to this 2015 planning bill to make sure that if there are transitional arrangements with regards to heritage, is that they do not become contestable. And I now have got the assurances from the Minister that will not be, they will not become contestable. That was my great fear, is that during transitional arrangements with this bill, is that it could open a little door which could come a flood as to people contesting their heritage listing on their properties. I don't believe that can happen. I think we need to honour those heritage properties because I think they last a lot longer than we ever will. So I think it's very, very important. We are developing, with Naomi's leadership, a tourism action plan. This has been a very important piece of work for Adelaide City Council, and I think it reflects a much stronger and growing focus on this term of council in terms of our role when it comes to enhancing tourism outcomes. And we, by about next month, will have that piece of work completed and will be coming back before the members. But what this is doing, it's recognising tourism in all of its facets, cultural tourism, heritage tourism included, and what our role is on the ground in order to enhance it and to strengthening it. And preceding that, in 2015, Council undertook research into the economic value of heritage tourism in the city, and we looked at a whole range of things, but the report defined cultural heritage tourism as having historic, and I'll read this out to you, architectural, technical, aesthetic, spiritual or social value heritage attributes. And it quantified that 27% of our overall heritage spend in the City of Adelaide, which in itself is quite significant, is attributable to cultural tourism. So people are already coming here en masse, and you hear it. When you have friends that come in from interstate and overseas, they say, what beautiful buildings you've got. We look at them every day. We must never take them for granted. What a beautiful city you've got. It's stunning. It's so well laid out, all these types of things. Well, this report really recognised that, and probably the first time in a long time, actually quantified it, which was terrific. So 27% of people coming to our city are already, but we can build on that with things like World Heritage bids and a whole range of other things. I think we can build on that. Now, that was quantified at $375 million. I mean, just think about that for a moment. That's very, very significant, and a significant benefit to the sustainability of our city. I mentioned before there are 647 state heritage places and 1,856 local heritage places and buildings listed in the city of Adelaide alone. Now, that's the area just within the parklands. That's a lot, which is terrific. Cultural Boulevard and North Terrace, I think it's a jewel of our crown. And I think the debate which we're currently having with regards to the Royal Adelaide Hospital site, current, soon to be former, is very, very important that we have cultural significance facing onto North Terrace. And I'm sure many of you would agree. Whatever happens on that site, and my council is very actively advocating cultural significance facing onto North Terrace, because North Terrace is the jewel of our crown, as you know. Council was very proud to co-contribute also towards Anzac Memorial Walk, which opens on Saturday. I drove past it earlier this morning. They must be working around the clock, but it will open up on Saturday, and I think it's been very sensitively done. And please do go and have a look. And of course, Anzac Day celebrations, dawn service on Monday, please do come along, because Anzac Centennial Walk is looking, I think, quite stunning, and I think it does complement the North Terrace upgrades which have been done in recent years. We're also advocating for the adaptive reuse of our buildings. We have many wonderful buildings, but in what the property industry terms as C-grade and D-grade buildings, we have fairly high vacancy rates. And we would like to see a lot of these buildings restored and some of them repurposed. And we think residential is a very, very attractive option, certainly becoming more attractive, for the repurposing of some of our older building stock throughout the city. It's been done in other cities, and you have wonderful, high-quality apartments with high ceilings and beautiful amenity, and there is a market who will buy them. And it preserves those buildings through contributions to strata funds and everything else forever, amen. So they remain in beautiful condition. So we think that's important too. But look at Electra House. What a wonderful outcome that's been. Look at the Westpac building at number 2 King William Street. What a wonderful outcome that's been. When you uplight these beautiful old buildings, everyone gets to appreciate them. And these are many of the things, of course, which we are wrapping up into this tourism action plan, which I do encourage you to look at, so please. So in the plan, we're also looking at key entry points. Kind of our gateway streets into the City of Adelaide are really important because, again, they are the directors of our first impressions, so to speak. We're also really looking to recognise from a cultural tourism perspective the incredible, deep, rich history, past, current and future, of our Aboriginal community in our tourism action plan too. Something which has never really been articulated, but it's just magnificent, and I think we need to tell that story very appropriately and very welcomingly, which is important. Ecotourism, I'll touch upon that very briefly. I know I'm under a little bit of time pressure, but ecotourism, Adelaide City Council has a goal to become the world's first carbon neutral city by 2025. Now this in fact is quite, I would say it's quite achievable, but it is achievable. We certainly have competition to do it, but our conditions that we have now position ourselves very well towards achieving this goal. If we know that cultural tourism and heritage tourism is growing, the arts are certainly part of that story too, but if we were to put an overlay of becoming the world's first carbon neutral city into that story, we would then have ecotourism also, and Mount Lofty Ranges are part of that story. But that's also quite extraordinary for people to come into the world's first carbon neutral city, and it can become an economic sustainable driver for the City of Adelaide. And not only, of course, does that have environmental benefit, but it also fills up restaurants, cafes and hotel beds. So it internationalises our city, I think, for all the right reasons, and gives us something that we can own truly on the world stage to become the world's first carbon neutral city. And even, I have this discussion many times, even to someone who could be a climate agnostic or a climate sceptic, think about the tourism applications to this. It could bring more people into our heritage houses, our heritage B&Bs, our hotels, the Mayfair Hotel, many of our wonderful properties throughout, and it'd actually be good for the environment, but I also think it'd be very, very good for business. which is important. Council, I hope and I think, and I have some confidence, is collaborating stronger and better and faster and more deeply than what it ever has. Because when you talk about things like tourism, you've got to collaborate. You talk about things like climate, you've got to collaborate. And I hope we're doing that well, but we're always open to ideas as to how we can do it better. So that plan is adopted in May. I do welcome everyone to have a look on the council website. Naomi is here. Naomi will be able to let you know when that will be available for everyone to look at. We do believe that being a destination is incredibly important. We do believe that we've got very good bones in the City of Adelaide, and we need to honour them, but we also need to capitalise on them, and I think we need to market ourselves, brand ourselves and project ourselves out to the Australian and global markets better so that people can come here and enjoy what we love, which is very, very important. So thank you very much, everyone. It's been a great honour to speak with you today, and I wish you well for the balance of today. Thank you.